All right, let's dive straight into something really specific but super important if you're thinking about taking the IELTS test in Bangalore,
Yeah.
especially between April and June 2025.
Yeah, we've looked at the sources you sent over, and the goal here is really to cut through the noise, pull out the absolute must-know info for getting your test slot booked.
Exactly, because nailing down your preferred date, your preferred
Well, approved.
center, well, that's key. It gives you more prep time and honestly just saves you a ton of last-minute stress.
Hmm.
The sources even give us some potential dates to keep an eye on for that busy window, April to June next year.
That's right. The material suggests looking out for dates like April 5th, 12th, 20th, 27th, and May 3rd, 10th, 18th, 25th, and into June the 7th, 14th, 21st, 28th.
Okay.
But, and this is important, the sources are clear these dates can change. So, keep checking.
Good point. So, why is booking ahead so vital, particularly for Bangalore during those months? What makes it so busy?
Well, this is where the sources get pretty interesting. Test centers, the popular ones like IDP on Residency Road, or maybe the British Council in Koramangala. They get really crowded.
Right.
And there's this statistic in the sources. Saturday slots, they can fill up, get this, 3 times faster than weekday slots.
Wow, 3 times. Seriously. That's huge if you were planning on a Saturday.
It really is. And it's not just Saturdays. The sources point to a bigger picture, too. Like, Bangalore centers apparently see a 20% increase in bookings overall between March and June.
20%. Okay, so it's definitely a peak time.
Seems like it. So just knowing about that rush, that demand, that's kind of step one.
Okay, so knowing the why is clear. Let's get into the how. What do the sources say about actually booking? It starts fairly simply, doesn't it? Choosing academic or general.
Absolutely. The sources lay out about 6 steps.
Hmm.
And step 1 is just that. If you need the academic test, usually for university, or the general training one, which is often for work or migration.
Got it. And then you go online.
Exactly. Step 2, head to the official website. That means either IDP or British Council site, not just any booking site.
Right, the official ones.
Then step 3, you select your date and center from what's available, which of course brings us back to booking early for better choice.
Choose date, choose center. Then the admin part, filling things in.
Yep, steps 4 and 5. You complete the registration form online accurately, obviously, and then pay the fee. Sources mention it's around 17,000 rupees right now.
17,000, okay.
And step 6 is just confirming everything. Oh, and a really crucial point the sources highlight.
Mm-hmm.
You absolutely need a valid passport for the registration itself.
Ah, the passport, that's a big one. Easily overlooked, maybe.
Definitely need to have that ready.
And speaking of things that can go wrong, the sources also talk about common problems people run into, right?
They do, yeah. The biggest ones mentioned are, well, leaving it too late, finding limited slots or none at all. And sometimes technical issues like glitches when you're trying to pay online.
Okay, so they warn you about the pitfalls. Do they give tips on how to, avoid them?
Yes, definitely. The main advice is pretty consistent. Book at least 2 to 3 months ahead. Seriously.
2 to 3 months, wow.
Yeah. And also keep checking the official websites regularly. Slots might open up from cancellations or they might add new ones. So don't just check once.
So plan ahead, but also stay kind of vigilant. Keep checking back.
That's the idea. And this strategy is echoed by some experts quoted in the sources, like a Dr. Ramesh Patel, an IELTS coach apparently, says booking early just reduces stress. And he thinks that helps people score higher.
Makes sense. Less panic, more focus.
Right. And another expert, Shivangi Mehta, she's a study abroad consultant, she advises checking availability across multiple centers. Don't just fixate on one because they fill up fast. Spread your search a bit.
Good tip. Increase your odds. The sources even had those little stories, didn't they? Ananya and Puni.
Yeah, relatable examples. Ananya booked 2 months early, felt less stressed, got time to prepare, scored an 8.0, shows the benefit of planning. And Puni needed a slot quickly, found one last minute, but only by really persistently checking different centers. So being proactive works, whether it's early booking or just being persistent.
Okay. So pulling this all together from our deep dive into these sources,
Yeah.
what's the main takeaway for you tackling the IELTS booking in Bangalore, especially for that April-June period?
It really boils down to being informed about when it gets busy, knowing the steps, and crucially being proactive. Use the insights. Be strategic about when and where you book. Don't just drift into it.
Right. Okay, here's a final thought for you listening. We heard the advice is consistently book 2 to 3 months ahead. We heard that stat 85% book at least a month out. So, thinking about all that, what's one specific action you're going to take, maybe even this week, based on what you've heard today, to make sure you get the IELTS slot you need?